What's up, Donuts? Welcome back to a video. This is the project I'm going to be working on. I hope you like it. This is the true story of David Parker Ray, aka the Toy Box Killer. I'm doing true crime. Now, we're going to start things off first with what got him caught. I'll get into his life later in the video. So it all started when he and his accomplice Cindy Hendy captured Cynthia Virgil, the first known surviving victim we have. Now, they did this on the capture on March 19, 1999. Mitch captured her they captured her under the guise of an undercover officer, where she was drugged and late where she was drugged. Later, she woke up in a soundproof trailer which David called his toy box. She could scream all she wants, but no one was gonna hear her. When she woke up, she heard a tape, a 50-minute tape, recording what's going to happen to her and how it's best she just lets it happen. Otherwise, she's going to get very badly in trouble. Well, over the course of 3 days, David and his partner Cindy SA'd and tortured her. Torture. She was chained to a table so she couldn't do anything. She managed to escape while David was at work because his accomplice Cindy left the key to her shackles a bit too close to the table. She managed to grab it and uncuffed things, and she booked it. And keep in mind, she had no clothes on. Cindy tried to stop her from escaping because obviously they'd go to jail for this, but Cynthia managed to grab an ice pick and stab her with it. Then she booked it to the nearest neighbor, who let her in. She called the cops. David and Cindy were shortly after that arrested, they investigated their house, where they found the toy box. They found the toy box and a lot of other things. They found this toy box. Inside the toy box was a gynecology table. That's where they were strapped. That's where his women were strapped. Above the gynecology table was a mirror, like on the ceiling. So the women were forced to have a third-person view of what was happening to them. They also found numerous toys on the wall, around everywhere on the wall. That he and Cindy used on all of his victims. They also found a wooden device that was used to keep the woman from moving, keep them mobilized. There were also diagrams of ways to inflict pain on his victims. And one of the most disturbing discoveries they found were not only that 50-minute tape, which I listened to, so you wouldn't have to, but also a videotape dated from 1996 of David and his partner essaying a girl, torturing her. Now, that's done. Let's get into his early life. David was born in Belen, New Mexico, November 6, 1939. He was raised mostly by his grandfather, but he did from time to time see his father, who more often than not inflicted harm onto young David when he was gone. David was also, when he was young, abused, not abused, bullied from his shots from girls and his elder peers. This led to him abusing both alcohol and drugs continuously. When he was 18, David served in the U.S. Army. He was Army discharged. He later had 4 marriages and 4 divorces. Now, there is no clear year when police pinpoint his crime spree began, but they do believe it took place somewhere in the mid-1950s. After Cynthia's survival, another woman actually came forward about her experience. Her name was Angelica Montano. She came forward. Now, thing is, Angelica was a acquaintance of David. She knew him personally. She went over to his house to get a bag of cake mix, or box of cake mix, where she was later drugged and put in Starbucks, much like all of his other victims. She managed to survive, and she said that David continued routinely drugged her while she was tormenting with substance, drugged her and was tormented. That way, if she survived, she wouldn't remember what was happening. She was drugged with substances such as sodium pentothal and phenobarbital. I'm mispronouncing that. I just know I am, but I'll put what they are in the comments below. So even if they survived, they won't remember what exactly had happened to them. This also, now because of the overwhelming evidence, this led Cindy to confess there were two other accomplices who routinely helped them with torturing his girls. One of them was David's own daughter, Glenda Jessie Ray, and his friend, and David's friend, Dennis Roy. They also routinely helped with the kidnapping and torture of these girls. Now, the last known surviving victim of David Parker Ray was, believe it or not, the girl in the 1996 tape. She was identified by her as Kelly Garrett, by her ex-mother-in-law. Kelly was actually a friend of David's daughter, Jessie. Now, one day Kelly had a bit of an argument with her husband and went to a nearby saloon to just play pool for the night with Jessie. While there, Jessie roofied her drink and she woke up. When she woke up, she had a chain around her neck where David and his daughter led her to the toilet box, strapped her on a college table, and she probably guess what happened next. This went on for 2 days. After that, David slit her throat and dumped her body on the side of the road, leaving her for dead. Miraculously, though, she survived. She went to the police, who didn't believe her. In fact, no one did. Her husband even thought that instead of being tortured by David, by someone else, as they didn't know who it was at the time, that she cheated on him with another man and literally he'd fought for divorce that same year. This much has come to a shock. She had a noticeable wound on her throat and probably looked a little banged up from whatever they did to her. The police believe now back to Cynthia and after she escaped and David and Cynthia got caught. Police believe his spree lasted from the mid-1950s to the late 1990s, 1999 specifically. Unfortunately for us, much about his crimes are unknown because of how well he was getting away with this. They tried to find bodies, but they couldn't. They managed to find stuff like jewelry, clothes from victims, journals actually describing what he had done to each victim, which was obviously enough to put him away for a long time. While there's no known number, it's estimated he took the lives of over 50 women. David was sentenced to 224 years in prison. Jessie was sentenced to 9 years in prison, and Cindy was sentenced to 36 years. I couldn't find any about Dennis, unfortunately, but I imagine he probably also got a sentence not nearly as high as David's. Today, both Jessie and Cindy got out on a good behavior, I believe, I'm not sure, but they were sentenced early and they will walk free today. David, on the other hand, had a heart attack in 2002 and died May 20th, 2002. Not very long after his life sentence began. So even after all of that, all of the crimes he committed, all the women who he tortured, lives he took, he barely served even like a tenth of his total time. which sucks. But the monster that was the Toybox Killer is officially off the streets. The police are still investigating to see if they can find any victim and bring peace to the families of any girl who was missing and gone about his crimes. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this video. Please tell me what you want to know. If you want to suggest who I can talk about next, because I'm going to try and do true crime. I find it fun to talk about doing life to these awful, awful people. So, yeah, let me know if you like this kind of content, and I will see you on the next. Oh, wait, before that, like I said, I got all this information off of a website. All that's interesting. I'll leave the QR code, URL in the description below. But yeah, I hope you like this video, and remember, peace out, Downets.